Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Richfield Middle School's virtual family orientation. This is unfortunately our second time having to do our orientation for incoming families virtually. COVID is still having its reins in how we can assemble. I'm just happy that we have an opportunity to just come before you to share more about Richfield Middle School and introduce ourselves. So I'll begin with myself. My name is Dr. Hines, and I am the principal. I have the honor of serving as principal of Richfield Middle School. Next, I will introduce my two APs. These are two individuals that I will be honest with you, I cannot run this building without the both of them. So I have Mr. Finke. He is one of our APs, and Mr. Lucas is our other AP. Before we get into the more detailed orientated parts of our presentation, I want to start by thanking our community for all of their support that you have shown Richfield Public Schools. In the fall of 2017, you all approved a referendum and an operating bond by 75%. These approvals gave us an opportunity to increase our per pupil spending. That's how much each student how much money is brought into the building by each student. And we went from $964.60 to $1,414.60 with the referendum approval. And we were also increased, we were approved for $86.8 million for our operating bond. So this had an impact on our renovations that we are currently under construction. So I am going to pass the reins off to Mr. Finke because he has been project managing all of our construction that we had COVID was a blessing and a curse. It allowed us to increase our timeline for our building renovations. So we're crossing our fingers, but by August, we will be done with construction. So I am going to pass it over to Mr. Finke, and he will take it over from here.
Good evening, everybody. As Dr. Hines said, my name is Ryan Finke. I'm one of the assistant principals. I am in year 4 as assistant principal and also served as our dean of students for 2 years prior. Again, as Dr. Hines said, COVID has been a blessing and a curse. And for our case, the blessing has come around our construction. Here are a couple pictures of some of the work that has been done over the last 1.5 to 2 years. Our entire building has gone through a complete overhaul with our boiler systems, our HVAC systems, our air control systems to ensure that airflow has been moving through. All of our classrooms have been given a facelift, and our focus has been really around collaborative workspaces. And so you'll see 2 pictures here. These areas used to be classrooms, and what has been great about this process is we've been able to take a building that is 60, 70 years old and really just had a lot of wasted space, for lack of better terms, and be able to move classrooms around. We didn't lose any classrooms, we've actually gained a couple, but we've also been able to have the flex spaces as well. And so these are areas that will provide opportunities for students to collaborate both in class as well as outside of their classrooms. Renovations also included brand new bathrooms throughout our building. And this work was actually projected to not happen until this coming summer. And due to COVID and everything that we have brought, we are very much ahead of schedule, and all of our bathrooms were remodeled and updated. We also have these little small breakout spaces in some of our special ed classrooms. Again, just to be able to provide students and staff with a little bit more flexibility in their learning. Because at the end of the day, our ultimate goal is ensuring that every student is given a chance to learn at high levels. And so this provides us opportunities at personalized learning, where a small group of students can be working near the teacher but outside of that space so that they have an opportunity to have collaboration and partnership. Our media center also went an incredible overhaul. It was much more of a traditional media center with rows of books and then some areas for students to work. We still have our books. It's in a separate area, but our focus again was really an open concept. I like to think it really feels almost like a college campus where lots of different workstations, lots of opportunities for students to collaborate, and larger spaces for teachers to be able to partner with their colleagues as well and bring classes together. Ideally, after COVID comes and we have a little bit more flexibility and life is at least kind of back to normal. This summer, we'll be finishing up our work. We are done with school on June 9th, and construction is going to start in our cafeteria as well as our front foyer area. And so those are the two big areas that we have left of construction. Again, you'll notice current space on the left, new space on the right, very open, welcoming to our students and to our families who come in. So I would definitely recommend once COVID moves away and we can release some of our restrictions a little bit more to please come in or set up a time with one of us. We'd love to be able to give you a tour of our new spaces. We're very, very excited. I've talked a little bit about our values around having collaboration and having these areas that provide chances for students to really be able to collaborate with one another. And that comes down to our philosophy in a middle school. Our 4 core values and what we base everything we do on is based on honesty, caring, respect, and responsibility. We have signs throughout our building. When we talk about students around behavior, we'll ask them, was that honest? Were you caring in that situation? How do we show respect? And in all of the spaces throughout our building, we have reminders of that, what it looks like to be respectful in our building, what it looks like to be honest, caring, and responsible. And so that is really the core of what we focus on. In order for students to be successful, they have to feel safe and they have to feel welcomed before we can really get down to the academics. And so that is the core of what we do. Another portion of middle school philosophy is exploration versus electives. In a junior high model, students elect their classes, similar to what they would do at a high school. And at the middle school, we place students in exploratory classes such as STEM, media, art. For next year, we'll be adding FACS, Family and Consumer Science, as well as STEM courses. And so our hope is that we get students through as many of those exploratory classes as we can in order to give them a chance to really experience different things that they may not always think about or think that they have a passion for. And again, it comes down to educating the whole child. We have, of course, math and science and social studies and other classes. And that is our hope, is to be able to educate the whole child and really give them an opportunity to see all aspects of schooling to help begin to start to determine what they want to do after they're out of school. And then it's looking at each student's individual need and ensuring that we're preparing them again for not only their next grade, but for high school and beyond. Because at the end of the day, our ultimate goal is ensuring that we're providing good citizens and creating good citizens for our community. About 4.5, 5 years ago, we unveiled one-to-one Chromebooks at the middle school. We were the first building to start with one-to-one Chromebooks, and that has been an incredible positive, as you know, with COVID and going back and forth from distance learning. So all students receive a district-provided Chromebook the second week of school, and students keep their Chromebooks throughout the year for use both at home and at school. And the reason we hold off until the second week of school is we go through what we call our first week of school boot camp, or first week of school technology boot camp, really. And it's really about onboarding students so that they understand our values, they understand how things operate at school, how to properly take care of their Chromebooks. So that way, by the time we give them on the second week, they have a better understanding of how to use that technology and how to use it appropriately as well. So we are planning for the fall to be back to quote unquote normal, pre-COVID normal, I would call it. We will see what the world brings us over the next coming months, but we are currently planning on running a normal bell schedule, be about 8:35 to 3:20. We do follow a 7 class period day. And we have our 4 core classes again: math, science, social studies, and language arts. We also added 2 years ago a college and career readiness course that students participate in. And then, as I mentioned before, a student would have exploratory choices such as art, PE, STEM, and engineering. And I'll be showing you an example schedule here in just a second. Outside of what we call our core classes and our exploratory classes, we also have a lot of different academic support classes. We offer support for our English as a second language students, for our ALD students. We also have math intervention and reading intervention courses. And these are courses that we use a variety of different data points to help show and provide support for students. We use our formative and summative assessments that are done in classes throughout the school year. We also use standardized test data, and not from just this year, but from years past as well. And our ultimate goal is really to try to pinpoint where a student is both excelling and where they may be seeing some gaps, so that we can help fill those holes and/or provide additional classes or additional opportunities to really challenge them and help them be successful. Our normal schedule, again, assuming we are able to go back based off CDC and state guidance next year, our normal schedule is class periods about 46 minutes long with a 30-minute lunch period in between. We also really focus on trying to get students outside whenever possible. So when the weather is nice in the fall and in the spring, it's not raining, really cold out, our hope is that we spend about 20 minutes or so getting students in and out of the lunch line, giving them a chance to eat, and then we really try to get students outside whenever possible. We have a beautiful field in the back of our building with some basketball hoops and an opportunity for students to get outside and get some fresh air. Especially, you all are living with middle schoolers, so you can probably appreciate the more chances we can get them outside and not sitting is good. So that is the ultimate goal. Keep them moving around, not only in their classes and being collaborative, but also given a chance to get outside as well. So this would be an example of a typical schedule here at RMS. Again, you'll notice the core classes with math, English language arts, science, and social studies. For those of you who are dual language families, we'll have an additional session here in just a little bit talking about the specifics of our dual language program. But for students who are in dual language, they would have social studies taught in Spanish, and then one of their exploratory options would be Spanish language arts. For students who are not in DLI, it would be those 4 core classes, 3 exploratory options, and then a college and career readiness. And so those exploratory options would again be anything from PE, STEM, art, so on and so forth. And then if that student had any math intervention or reading intervention, that would also take the place of one of these exploratory slots. And so the 7-period day provides us a lot of flexibility to really be focused on what our students need and be able to provide us the opportunity to give them what they need to be successful. We also have an incredible staff. I know I'm very biased, having been here for 6 years, but we really, really do. Our 6th grade teachers in particular have a ton of background. They have been on our team and in our building, some for 15, 20 plus years. And so they really understand what 6th graders need, how to take them in the fall from 5th grade elementary kiddos and really transition them throughout the fall, winter, and spring, and turning them into middle schoolers and really teaching them how to be even more responsible. And so we have a phenomenal team. You'll get to hear and learn more about them a little bit more this summer and this fall. But the one thing I would say about our teachers is if you ever have questions, if you ever have concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. They will always be willing to help and support. We also have 2 full-time counselors and 2 full-time social workers. Ms. Berglund and Ms. Scott have been our 2 counselors for a long time. They hate when I say that, but I think that is a huge testament to just the work that they have done over the years and the relationships they've built with families. And they are able to provide a lot of different student support services, whether that be individual counseling, small group counseling, They also manage all of our students as 504s and also work with students around homeless and highly mobile transportation as well. So we also have Miss Keene, who is a social worker, and Miss Davis as well. And so again, any questions that you have, any support that you need, especially around social emotional health, with COVID and the pandemic, there's been a lot more of that this year. Please don't hesitate to reach out to one of our staff, one of us as administrators, or our grade counselors and social workers. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to my counterpart and my colleague, Mr. Flukas.
Thank you, Ryan. Ryan, quick question. Are you advancing slides or am I?
I am.
Okay, very good. Okay, so one of the things that is a huge strength in our community is our outreach workers and how we do everything we can to reach out into the community and make sure families feel welcome coming in the building. Our students are very comfortable bringing their family members in to drop them off of school and maybe even meeting teachers while they're there. We have an incredible support and outreach staff. Miss Evelyn, Mr. Antonio, and Ms. Maritza do a fantastic job getting us information, providing access to information about what's going on in the school with families, and just making everybody feel welcome. So I think that's just a tremendous advantage with our program. Our support staff also are more involved with students. We have staff members that literally follow and support students around the building. There's such a big difference between elementary school and middle school. It's overwhelming for some students sometimes. So there are students who need a little bit more support. We have 2 campus supervisors that provide safety and security support in the building and help us deal with behaviors a little bit. We also have a special ed program in the building that sometimes those students need support. All of it doesn't work if the technology doesn't work. So we have full-time technology people in our brand new renovated media center that are available to help us unlock Chromebooks and remember passwords and do all those things that we need to keep our organization running. The day is not done when school gets out. We have a fantastic relationship with Boys and Girls Club where they come in after school and provide after school support for kids. Miss Lisa Fetter does a fantastic job at providing interesting and engaging activities for kids after school, including homework help, including the kids that just need to get their jitters out. So there's the basketball and the jump rope and those kind of things. But there's also help with figuring out things with your computer or doing activities with your computer or doing activities that you kind of make up as you go. We are very fortunate in that the Boys and Girls Club has extended themselves to us and they really support us tremendously after school hours. So we're very fortunate with that. Now, one of the things that I'm super excited about is the trip to Eagle Bluff every year. When the opportunity came as an administrator to go to beautiful Lanesboro, Minnesota, and spend some time outdoors with kids, I jumped at it. This has been an activity that has been ongoing at our school for at least 30 years. I mean, grandparents come back and share how much fun they had when they were 6th graders at Richfield Middle School and they went to Eagle Bluff. Eagle Bluff is a program specifically for our 6th graders that teaches outdoor education. Students can sign up for classes, but there are also classes that all the students participate in. For instance, some of the night's activities involve rafter activities where they bring bald eagles that were injured and that they have rehabilitated to help show how wildlife lives in the area. Students are taught winter camping. There are winter marches that the students go on to. You name it, and it's extremely engaging for the time period you're there. By the end of each day, friends, the kids are wiped out. All that fresh air, all those activities from the time to get up to the time to go to bed, it is just a super, super fun activity. What you see now is a kind of a shot of the grounds at Eagle Bluff. Again, the kids walk just about every inch of that during the time period we're there, and they have a blast. And if you think the kids have a blast, the adults they get to go with have even more fun. It's dormitory living while we're there, so the kids have access to bathrooms and kind of dorm rooms. You'll see the bunk beds down on the bottom. The picture with the fireplace down there is kind of a meeting area where the students are briefed every morning about what their group is going to be doing. So there are probably about 20 different activities, and students get to select some of their activities, but then they're scheduled for the other activities. So there's a low ropes course, there's a high ropes course. There, you name it, there's the ropes course right there that kids navigate. It's phenomenal, phenomenal. What you see here is kids doing kind of an ice fishing exercise. They are looking through the water at that point to determine if they can actually see fish in the ice. There's a wall where the students can practice their climbing skills and climb up and down the wall there. Of course, they're safety harnessed in and they're extremely safe while they're doing it. But I just marvel at these kids are able to climb some of those structures and do those incredible things. It's a blast. All students must have up-to-date immunizations in order to attend school. So that's just part of your normal records and things when it comes to registering kids for school. So we will get you more information out about that as it becomes available. In terms of student activities, this year was a little bit different. We did intramural club activities for kids after school, but normally the kids will play soccer. There's a tech club, there's a yearbook club. Mr. Edwards runs a drama club, there's Lego League, there's a chess club. We try to do everything we can to keep students engaged in constructive activities. But for students who are also athletes, we also have a football team during the fall. We have a cross country team. We have a running club. We have a girls only running club that the kids get involved in. There's a wrestling team. There's a floor hockey team. And just your normal activities for 7th and 8th graders on up. Again, football, soccer, swim team, volleyball. And the cool thing about our program is 7th and 8th graders, if they are good enough to compete on the varsity level, they jump on the bus and go to the high school and compete with some of our varsity athletes. This year as a wrestling coach, I had 2 7th graders that wrestled varsity on the varsity team. They were just that good, and they did phenomenally well. Some of the other fun things we do that Mr. Finke and I sometimes enjoy is we have school dances and we have pie throwing contests. And, you know, it's so much fun to watch students just crush those pies on Mr. Finke's head. It was the highlight of the year for us doing that. We can't think of everything though. So we've hired someone to be a student engagement specialist. Miss Shimmy comes in and her job is to find activities that are even more engaging for students. Now, I think I'm a pretty fun and happening guy, but I don't know everything that's going on with our kids. But that's Miss Shimmy's job, to keep us on the ball and let us know what else we could be doing to help students stay engaged in what we do at Richfield Middle School. Transportation. Students that live more than 2 miles away are able to get bus transportation. Students that live less than that are walkers. There is a pay-to-ride system, and I don't think these numbers are up to date, but we will be able to get some more numbers to you as that information becomes more current. We have a fantastic fall open house where one of the things we do is we collect all those forms that we're going to need during the school year. So if you have lunch forms, if you have forms where students have 504 accommodation plans, if you would like to meet with teachers because there are other information that you'd want to let your students' teachers know. Our open house is a great family event where we get together, just prepare for the upcoming year. So with that being said, folks, I'm going to issue a challenge. When you see activities that we're doing in the school, please, please, please get involved. One of the most fun things in the world, and Mr. Finke can attest to that, is when we have a school dance and we have to show these kids what real dancing is. I mean, I'm telling you, they do not know about how we used to dance in the 70s and 80s. I don't know what they're doing now, folks. But Mr. Finke and I have some incredible moves, and we have to bring some of these young whippersnappers up to speed. Our teachers participate in the activities. Our PEG group is incredible coming in to support us. We're always looking for extra chaperones to come in and help us monitor activity with the students, because students literally have the run of the building when we have our activities. It's a fun event. We get the students in, and we have just a blast with the kids. But my challenge is, parents, you come too. Don't just drop your child off and leave. You come too. Hang out with us. Enjoy some pizza and other foods with us, and spend some time with us and kind of get to know your child's school. It is a blast. If there are any questions regarding any of the information that we've covered tonight, or there's something that just pops to mind right when we sign off, please feel free to reach out to us. Give us a call at the school number, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Many of those calls come to me. So if you have any questions, reach out to Mr. Flukas, and I will do my best to try to get back to you within 24 hours, friends. Any question at all that you might ask, let us know.
And you can find the link on the screen there. Is going to pop up in the chat here. So I'm just sending it to everyone now. There's a link to a Google Doc form that you can find in this chat. If you're not able to find it, you can go ahead and just send an email to the school. You can find all of our contact information on the Richfield Middle School website. We did have one question show up in our questions bar that I think we have a minute or here to answer. That question was, what is the general time frame for students on the bus to be picked up and dropped off at the bus stop?
Are you meaning what time the bus arrives at the location and what time the bus drops students off there? Is that what the question is?
I would, yeah, that's how I'm reading it.
You know, each location has a specific pickup and drop off time. We ask students to be at that specific location at least 10 minutes before. And when students are dropped off, we ask parents sometimes to expect students that could be 10 to 15 minutes later. Weather and traffic and the first week of school all tend to delay bus routes. So there's a specific pickup time, but there's also a specific drop-off time. So if you give us 10 or 15 minutes on either side of that, we'll be pretty accurate in getting students to their location on a daily basis.
Awesome. And the follow-up question there is just as a general time in the morning, when should the children plan to be on the bus? Looks like we're looking at kind of more scheduling times for parents getting to work.
You know, it really just depends. I don't have a specific time in mind, but buses can start picking up as early as 8:05, 8:10. We have some buses that pick up that are close to the school that may pick up at 8:25. So it really just depends. But again, we try to stay as close to those numbers as possible. And if we're going to run late, we're going to try to correct whatever the issue is to make sure we're trying to stay at that time, because we know parents have schedules and timing is everything.
Awesome. And then one last question, and then we're going to wrap it up here. One parent is asking, how and when do we choose exploratory classes?
Yeah, I can answer that. For this next fall, the two classes that your child would be choosing from would be three classes would be either band, choir, or general music. So all sixth graders need to take one of those three classes. So that would be the only classes they would choose or elect. All the other exploratory classes, we would create those schedules for them. So they wouldn't be choosing those classes. It would just be selecting either band, choir, or general music.
Perfect. Follow-up question. I was told students have to choose either band or choir, but have to do music as exploratory. Is that correct?
So for next year, they would choose one of those three, either band, choir, or general music. And that is for our sixth grade students as part of our visual arts standard. So if a student was in choir, then they would not be in general music. If they were in band, then they would be in general music.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And thanks to everybody who stayed and hung out and asked all of your questions. Again, the link to the doc with further questions is in that chat. I'm going to go ahead and end this here so we can all get on with our evenings, but have a wonderful evening and thanks so much.